Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Sports 2.0 show. I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm Eric Neff, administrator of the Sports 2.0 network. Tonight, I'm going to have Justin Onken from Sports 2.0 with me as well. We are going to be talking some Masters. Welcome to the 2.0 Masters special. Very excited about the Masters this year. Ruined a little bit for us last year, though we ended up getting it. Maybe not quite the tournament we anticipated, but very excited for a nice, normal April, spring Augusta Masters this year. Just completely pumped. Coming off a great national championship game last week. Baseball's getting going, and now we have the Masters. Justin, how excited are we for this Masters, man?
I'm ready to go. It feels like spring when the Masters comes around. The weather's starting to get warm. Everybody's starting to get out and go and play actual golf, and I'm ready to go.
Exactly. It's opening day in the Masters, man. It's always like that signal. Oh, weather's getting warmer. Time to get out there and golf. Time to get out there and bet on some golf. More importantly,
Yeah.
So I'm pumped for this field. The field looks great. Missing a few big names that we enjoy having, but there are some guys that are just playing well right now coming into this Masters. Jordan Spieth primarily has really reemerged here lately. Of course, we're going to have Justin Thomas. We've got Patrick Cantley. We've got a lot of great players that we're going to see this weekend. So that being said, who are we looking for this weekend, Justin? Who are you? Some of your favorites that you might have your money on in a few different some outrights and things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the top of the board is pretty much where the winner always comes from at the Masters, which doesn't always provide a lot of value. But my first click this week when I pulled up the odds was pretty simple. Colin Morikawa, somewhere between 30 and I think some guys found him at 40, depending on the book. Augusta is the ultimate second shot golf course. You've got to be good with your irons. The green complexes are so hard. You got to get the ball in the right spot, and if you miss, you got to give yourself a good look. And Morikawa's right there with Justin Thomas as the best iron player on tour, and he's proven he can do it. He won the PGA last year. He just won the WGC. I mean, I don't see any reason
Absolutely.
other than maybe his putter that he can't win.
Absolutely, and I think maybe I was kind of confused on the odds for Colin being so high. I mean, I really thought he'd be not a favorite, but more of a favorite. I mean, he's got 3 top 10 finishes on the season. Sits, I believe, right around 20th or 22nd in the FedEx Cup standings. So I was kind of surprised on the odds.
Yeah.
Any other surprising odds that you noticed? Some guys that you thought might be over or underrated going in?
So I think the Morikawa thing is like a debutante issue. I mean, he played last fall, but like we're going to talk about later, this is going to play a lot different than last fall. Guys, it usually takes a couple trips around Augusta to really get a feel for it. So I think that was part of it. But I mean, he's the 5th ranked player in the world. He should be priced in the 20s every time a major happens. In terms of other guys, there was 2 main other guys that I thought were mispriced: Berger and Reed. I know people don't like Patrick Reed. He's kind of a douche sometimes, but he wins. He wins.
He can be.
Yeah, he wins. That's what he's the perfect guy to bet on because nobody likes him, so his number stays high. He's got a major. He's got big wins. He just won at Torrey. He was in the mix at the WGC. He's got a Masters. I mean, by all accounts, the greens are going to be like concrete this week. You're going to have to chip and putt it, and he's the best chipper and putter of all the elite guys.
Absolutely, and I know the course was playing rather hard in November, but yeah, we're going to see. I agree. I think it's going to be a little different or soft. I said that backwards. A little soft in November. So, but yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a completely different tournament now that it's April. A little firm to play fast. Greens are going to be fast. So
I feel bad for those. Feel bad for those debutantes who got to see it for their first time last fall, nice and soft, could stick all their irons real close. And now it's going to be just lightning fast.
Yep, it's going to be a completely different course they're playing out there in the spring. So yeah, the debutantes kind of look out. So I hope they got enough rounds of practice in early this week, because
Yeah.
I think oddly, which practice and tournament, two completely different things. This week's definitely going to show you how the course is going to play a heck of a lot more than tournament play did in November. So
Yeah.
that being said, moving on, what do we think of our returning champ? Where's he at? What's he gonna do?
I mean, at 9-1 or 950 for DJ, that's way too steep for my blood on an outright bet. But when he brings his A game, he wins. He's just the most talented guy on tour. He proved that last fall. He just smoked everybody. It wasn't really that close. He's kind of been in a little DJ type slump. He's made some cuts, but he hasn't finished in the top 30 in the last 3 starts. I kind of don't care. If you feel like betting DJ, I don't put much stock into those starts. When he wants to gear it up, this course sets up perfect for him. He bombs it, he wedges it, and his putter's gotten a lot better. Would not shock me if he won. I just won't be on him at 9-1.
Absolutely. Golf is one of the few sports where recency bias may not come into play as much as it does in other sports. And I agree with you on that. I mean, when you've got one of the best players in the world, yeah, you're going to have a few off tournaments. This is a sport that's played pretty much year round, year after year. You're going to hit a slump. You're going to go down for a few tournaments, but still, it's DJ. And when DJ brings his A game, he's almost unbeatable. So
Yep.
that's kind of brings me into another guy that I mentioned earlier, Jordan Spieth. Spieth had an extended slump there, a few seasons that were a little rough
Yeah.
after the season, unlike anybody's that we've ever seen. So, what kind of chances do you give Spieth this weekend? Where do you have him in your rankings this weekend?
As someone who's placed some outright bets, Spieth scares me maybe more than anybody because I'm not going to bet him at 11. That number's kind of crazy considering his long-term form. But, man, he's been good this year, and his irons have been absolute money. He seems to be back to what he was in 2015 when he was winning all the majors and finishing second over and over again. 11 is a little steep considering he wasn't going to be in this tournament until and other than the fact that he was a Masters champ, he wouldn't have been in this tournament. He was outside the top 50 in the world. I made a ton of money betting against him for the last 18 months in matchups because he was so mispriced at the top of the board with some of those guys for a while.
Yep.
The books did catch on to that, but I mean, you can tell this week he's priced at 11. He's like the second favorite, but his matchups on all the books are like Scotty Scheffler, who's 50-1. They're not taking the Justin Thomas. They're not taking the John Rahms against him unless you're going to lay a bunch of juice. But that being said, if he won, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, you can't be surprised when a guy like that comes out of the woodworks and wins. That's it's odd that you have won a ton of money on the Spieth rankings, because I think I've lost more money in the last 2 years on Spieth than anybody. I just that 2015 season, it made me a believer. When I was witnessing what he did there, I honestly thought, man, is this guy going to contest Tiger and Jack and Arnold and all these guys? Are they going to is he going to contest their numbers? Is he going to be our generation's greatest golfer? And then just the fall off the cliff was, I always just thought, well, it's still, you can't do that and then this. So every week it was like, oh, I think this is his week. This is his weekend. This is the week he comes back. And it just took forever for it to happen, like 5 years. So
and I saw a stat today. I saw a stat today from Justin Ray that basically every single stat from the Masters over the last 5 years, he still ranks like first or top 5 because he just owns it. He just plays well here.
Wow.
He just feels comfortable. He's a confidence guy. I think that was part of the reason he kind of lost it, was his confidence went away. And man, he's got it back, and that he's just making everything again. So everybody needs to be very careful.
Yeah, be on alert for Spieth for sure. Then I was looking at the FedEx standings, and it's interesting to me that all of the top 7 got really, well, it's not interesting, it's pretty obvious, but a lot of the top 7 were ranked really high. Bryson, of course, number one in the standings right now with 1,565 points, leads the field by 57 points at the current moment, and of course has the big driver. I mean, kind of a ridiculous driver. And I know before the show we were talking about some props on him and a few other guys. What props are you looking at heading into the weekend? Who's got the driver? Who's got the putts? What props are you laying your money on this weekend?
So the first prop I saw, Louis Oosthuizen, top South African. I think there's 4 South Africans in the field, 2 of which, in my opinion, have 0 chance. And it's like plus 125. Louis has a really good track record at the Masters. He's got a bunch of top 20s. He almost won one. I think he was in the playoff with Bubba that year. And he just shows up at big events. He showed up last year at the U.S. Open, and he's actually played some pretty good golf so far this year. For him, he kind of just doesn't play all that often, shows up for the majors, but it's encouraging that he's played some events and, had some success. An interesting one. This is more of a fun bet. Xander Schauffele to be in the top 10 after round 1. Xander ranks 12th on tour in round 1 scoring average, and he's had some success in round 1 at Augusta. He also tees off tomorrow morning, so the greens should be a little bit softer, less foot traffic. And he should be as motivated as anybody to get one of these. I can just see him coming out hot.
Right.
I think you get like maybe 3-1 for him to be in the top 10 after tomorrow. I kind of like that. It's an interesting bet, but I like the odds.
It's kind of the you hate taking the low odd bets, but you also don't want to lose. So we all like to make 25-1 on every bet we make, but we all take the 2-1 and 3-1. I like trying to hedge my bets, getting the 20 and 25-1 picks out, and then taking the 2 or 3-1 odds on guys to make the top 20, the top 10. So I really like taking those. Justin, I'm going to come back to you in just a minute, and we're going to talk about how we think the course is going to play, and we're going to make some picks. Right now, would like to go for our weekly segment. Of course, every week we have Griff's picks for you with Griff and Carol. We're going to have Griffy Bets join us here on the show, and he's going to tell you how we're going to make some money this week. How you doing tonight, Griff?
I'm good. Thanks, Eric. What's up, Justin? Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
So NBA tonight. Yeah, I got a ton of picks tonight and tomorrow. And if you're listening live, you got 15 minutes to get to your book because the Nets Pelicans over is the juiciest bet I've seen in a while. The over's at 232, and I'm surprised it's not higher. I marked it. I was expecting it to be 240. This is just your classic case. 2 of the best teams against overs, 2 top 10 offenses, 2 bottom 10 defenses. It doesn't really get any better than that. We've started taking it to the next level this week. Check it out on Noob Sports, the best NBA props targets. Just trying to get a look at teams' tendencies on offense versus defensive weaknesses. And this game just is the perfect alignment of what you want to see. The Nets chuck up the 5th most threes in the NBA, and no team allows more threes than the Pelicans. So there's your check there. Don't just take the over. Load up on Kyrie. Durant's back. Take both their overs. I'm putting 3 units on Durant tonight. His over, first game back, 21.5 points. They held him out for 20-plus games. I have to imagine he's completely healthy now, and I expect him to play an entire game. So then on the other side, the Pelicans, I believe, 3rd most points in the paint by Zion, of course, and the Nets are a bottom 10 defense stopping points in the paint. So I'm taking Zion as well. I haven't gotten confirmation he's suited up, so someone check Twitter. He played last night, but it is a back-to-back. Either way, love that game tonight, everything about it. I don't think you can go wrong loading up on any players, whether you're tinkering a DraftKings lineup at the last second. My other pick tonight is the Rockets team total under against the Mavs. I've been, crunching numbers for a few weeks now and keeping track of offensive and defensive rankings, and I haven't seen anyone shoot up quite like the Mavericks have the last week on defense. They were around 20th on defense, and now they're 8th in the league. They're smothering people on defense. They're allowing, I think, an average 98 points per game in their last 5. Most impressively, probably holding the Jazz to just 103 the other night. The Rockets are one of the worst offenses in the league, and the Mavericks played a slow pace, which I think the Rockets are going to have to adhere to. So I like taking their under. It's at 105.5, very reasonable. Those are my 2 picks tonight. Hopping tomorrow for a few others. The Lakers Heat under is a clear target. We'll see what the number opens at. These are 2 bottom 10 offenses, 2 top 10 defenses, and they both play a really slow brand of basketball. I would not be surprised if this is around 210 or lower. If it's any higher than that, jump on it. And then I have a couple props. Zach Weiss, who's been a host a few times, is not on to hear me. I'm finally riding something with the Cavaliers. I've got Sexton and Garland's over tomorrow. They're playing. Who are they playing? I forget who they're playing, but whoever they have a significant advantage in the paint, and both slashing guards. They chuck up a few threes a game, but the majority of their points are in close. So I like them to have a big game. And then also I like Luka's over tomorrow against the Bucks. The Bucks are a good defense, but they struggle to stop the 3. So I've started to evolve a little bit to focus on props. I recommend checking that out on Griffy Bets on Twitter or Noob Sports, because I think it opens up a lot. And, when these overs are high, I think hedging with props is the right way to go, because we can miss out by a point. But if these players are still getting points, we can hit a majority of our bets. That's my NBA action for the next 2 days. Excited to hear more about the Masters. I will add my 2 cents. Like I think you're about to get to, studying last fall's performance probably is a worthless exercise a little bit, just playing on this course a completely different time of the year. So throwing that out for a second, for me as a casual golf fan, I'm looking at consistency on this course. And looking at the last 3 springs, there are 4 players playing this weekend that have multiple top 10 finishes. And that would be Dustin Johnson, who, of course, also won in the fall, Rory, John Rahm, New Dad, and Tony Finau. So those are the 4 I have my eye on. They've all been in the top 10 at least twice from 2017 to 2019. I like that consistency. I'll see what the odds are at for some top 10 or top 20 finishes, and probably throw out some half-unit bets. So that's what I got. Hoping for another big week. Excited to take in the Masters. Looking like a beautiful weekend. Bring the TV outside, get something on the grill, and I'm ready for spring, so I'm glad it's here.
Absolutely. That's what the Masters are all about, man. I love a couple of your NBA picks. I love the Cavs and Thunder tomorrow. I really think the Cavs. I agree with your props there. I love Darius. I've loved Darius since the day he was drafted. So love your Cavs and Thunders picks there. And then also love, what's not to love about anytime you're taking Luka in anything. So, and then John Rahm. John Rahm's another guy that I discussed with Justin earlier. Really think John Rahm comes in with a good shot at winning this Masters, or at least a top 10 finish. So congrats to John Rahm on becoming a new father as well, as Griff said. Congrats to you and your family. That's great. Absolutely great news. All right, Griff, it was great having you tonight, man. We will, of course, see you next week on the episode for Griff's Picks. You guys are going to want to check out Griffy Bets on Twitter. You're going to want to check out Griffy Bets on noobsports.com. You're going to want to check out Griffy Bets on sports2.0.com. This guy makes me money, so I want him to make you money. So have a good night, Griff. Appreciate you being on.
Thanks,
man.
Eric. Yeah, thanks. See you, Justin.
See ya.
All right, Justin, back to you. And a big question, I think maybe the biggest question heading into this particular Masters for me is, how different is Augusta going to play in April than it did in November? And what are those differences going to be?
Yeah, so it played a lot softer last November than it normally does in April. And the early indication from the guys on the grounds and from interviews I've heard is that it's really firm, like maybe more firm than it usually is in April. And the greens are are going to be absolutely lightning. I saw somebody say earlier that they were watching some of the practice round coverage today and didn't see a ball mark the whole time they were watching. So it's going to be interesting. As far as comparing it to last year, some of the guys who've played the Masters a bunch, I won't look at it too much. It always helps. It's the same golf course. It's just going to be a little bit more firm. The debutante guys like Morikawa and Scheffler, who I think, I definitely think Morikawa can win, and Scheffler has the talent. It's kind of hard to judge when they play that. Their one Masters tournament was on the only fall Masters we've ever had, so that makes it a little interesting. I'm a little bit worried about Morikawa's putter. That's the only thing. I mean, his irons are so money. He'll be in the fairway all day. But that would be the main difference. It's going to be firm, fast, and chipping and putting, I think, is going to be more important than it was in the fall.
Absolutely. So short games, we're looking at short games probably a lot more this April than we were in November. And especially, I mean, at Augusta, if those greens are playing lightning fast, that's a nightmare, especially for the debutantes, like you said. I mean, that's an absolute nightmare, which I'm sure a lot of the vets will be used to. They're used to them playing a little faster, at least than they did in November. However, if it were up to me, if I were playing at Augusta, I would want them to play soft all the time. I would personally rather play the course in November. I would just rather watch the tournament in April. So, all right. Now we're going to make some very exciting picks. So I've got a couple different picks I want you to make here. First of all, of the debutantes that we have playing, who do you think of the debutantes could possibly pull off a top 20 or a top 10 finish this weekend?
It's an easy call. Zalatoris. He's my guy. Fits everything I want to bet in a golfer. He's like, besides JT and Morikawa, he's been arguably the best iron player since he came on the tour last year at the US Open. He top 20s every single week. It seems like he's got like 9 top 20s and like 14 starts. He sucks at putting, not going to lie, and that concerns me at Augusta. But, man, he's really, really good with his irons. He hits it far. He hits it straight. He does everything but putting that you got to do here. He's by far the best player of the debutantes. We'll see. I mean, he's shown he can do it. He got 6th at the US Open last year in absolutely brutal playing conditions. So,
right.
I mean, he would be my guy. The odds aren't going to be amazing because he's proven it, but I mean, I think he's ready to do another top 20.
It's another one of those hedge it with a high odds guy and take Zalatoris just in case. So, all right, of the entire field of 88, who do you think? Give me a few in your top 10, and then I would like to hear your outright pick, and then I'll give you mine as well. Who you think is going to win this thing, and give me a few guys that you think are just definitely going to finish in the top 10 easy money bets.
So, top 10, Xander, that would be my guy. He top 10s every single time he tees it up in a major, basically. He missed his first cut in like 14 months last week or 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's had some time off. He's had a top 10 at the Masters. I think he's poised to win one. I'm not sure he's going to win this one, but he's poised to win one at some point. And then, honestly, you can't go wrong with Spieth for a top 10. He just does it here. His number's probably not great, but his track record speaks for itself at Augusta, and the form that he's shown, I would be completely surprised if he wasn't in the mix.
Absolutely.
And then my main pick this week,
I would say top 10. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
for me, I would say top 10 definites. I would agree 100% on Xander, and then I think Justin Thomas definitely plays himself into a top 10 spot. There's just he's just too good to not, I think, of this field. And with the debutantes, I've actually got Colin. I think Morikawa. I think he's going to end up in the top 10 as well. So I'll let you go on and pick your winners. Go ahead.
My favorite bet and I never go this low when I'm betting outrights, but Justin Thomas, I got him at 12.50. I think you can probably still find him at 12 or 13. I just think he's going to win. He's the best iron player on the planet. It's not really close. He just won the Players. He just smoked everybody on the weekend at the Players. He's got Tiger in his pocket, in his cell phone. He can call for advice. Tiger's not playing, so he can give him all the advice. I just think it sets up so well for him. He's a bit of a streaky putter, but every time he putts well, he wins. And he wins as much as anybody on tour. I think DJ's the only active player besides Phil and Tiger who have more wins than JT. And JT's 6 or 7 years younger than DJ and way younger than those other guys.
Right.
He wins. I mean, that's the difference. I'm looking for win equity with these guys, and he's got like 14 wins and some big ones, and he's due to win this. He's gotten better every single year at the Masters, 4th last fall. And if it's going to play that difficult, I like him. His short game is amazing. His iron play is amazing. As long as his putter is average, if it's above average, I think he wins, no doubt. But if his putting is average, he'll definitely be in the mix.
I agree. That was I can't really surprise anybody with my Justin Thomas pick now, but that was my pick as well. I think Thomas really takes this home. And then my extra pick, my surprise pick, not really a surprise, is the guy who's lost me all this money over the last couple of years. I'm going to take Spieth. I really want to see, it's more from my heart, I really want to see a reemergence of Spieth. I love the guy. I love the way he plays. Love him on and off the course. Just a great young guy. So I would love to see Spieth win it. However, I agree with you. I think Justin Thomas wins it. His iron play is absolutely absurd and seems to get better with every tournament. It's kind of ridiculous. And then something that you brought to my attention before we went on tonight is that basically all major champs since 2011 have been top 30 in the world golfers, which is, I guess you would expect that, but it really puts the hold on trying to make one of those long shot odds picks, especially for the Masters.
Yeah.
So you don't want to take the lower guys if every freaking winner's been in the top 30 for over a decade. So.
Yeah, the last 10 Masters champs have been 29th or higher in the world golf rankings. It helps you bet because there's a limited group of guys. I went through the list, came up with 12 guys I think have like a legit shot. I think there's some other guys that probably could win, but I think there's 12. I mean, and the best players, those 12 guys are in almost all good form besides Brooks with his bulky knee. But I think it's coming from the top. I think Reed and Berger would be the two guys farther down, like 35 to 40, depending on where you find them, that could win. But I really think it's coming. DJ, Rahm, Spieth, JT, somebody like that.
Yep. Rahm's another person that I've got a little bit of money on, kind of a heavy favorite in my opinion, coming off the birth of a child, who's been playing really well. He also leads, like I said earlier, leads in top 10 finishes in the Cup this year. So he's got 7 top 10s, which is I believe the closest is 5. Most of the top 10 in FedEx Cup standings have either 4 or 5 top 10 finishes. Rahm comes in at 13th in the standings, but has 7 top 10s. And then you've got Colin, who's sitting 22nd in the Cup standings and also has 3 top 10 finishes. So basically everybody we've talked about this entire show, and we'll be wrong, it's going to be somebody it'll be somebody we probably did not mention one time in this show because that's how it always works. So, but I hope not. Justin,
Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay is going to be the guy that wins that we didn't mention.
I said his name one time, so I'm going to take credit. There you go. Like I said his name one time. What I meant to, when I said his name, that was a pick. That counts. So yeah, Justin, absolutely wonderful having you on tonight. Feel free to come back and join us anytime. You can catch all of Justin's stuff on noobsports.com, on sports2.0.com. He is an absolute machine. He gets us an amazing bet preview for every golf event, every weekend. You can catch those every Tuesday or Wednesday. And, of course, the Sports 2.0 show, you can catch us every Wednesday night. And we're going to be adding a lot of special shows in the near future. On Monday, we have the NHL Trade Line special. We have several of these special shows coming up. We're going to become a more topical show instead of bouncing around between 10 different topics during a show. We are going to start really focusing on those topics for you guys, getting you guys all the best information, all the best picks we can. So this was our master special for Sports 2.0. I'm Erik Neff. I hope you join us again next week, and good luck this weekend. Enjoy the Masters, everyone.